So a little background. This is my Jato 4x4 VXL. My air can here. This shock tower is the third shock tower. I have broken 2 of the plastic ones. And I guarantee you, every time you break one of these, you break a diff case as well, because of the way these things mount. So I found these aluminum ones on Amazon. They were like 25 bucks. Okay. Front one, it fits fine. You got to put these little spacers in the shock, but they include the spacers. The back ones, if you see how that angle is, if I put this on there, let me flip it around. If it's on there like it's supposed to be, you would see how far, you can kind of see how far off that would be for making those shocks work. Okay, so yeah, that's not a good deal. But even though their website description clearly states that those will fit the Jato 4x4 VXL, of course it also says Slash, Rustler, Bigfoot, all those as well. Now I'm not going to return these because they will fit the Slash 4x4, the Rustler 4x4, which you can see I've got 2 Rustler 4x4s over there. I've got a Slash 4x4 up there. So I can use these on something else, and they were 25 bucks. So I'm not going to worry about returning those. But what I did find, which when I first looked, they didn't have them listed. Let me put this back on my head here, because we're going to try to film this a different way today, so you guys can actually see what we're doing. Okay, so GPM actually makes them, and I'll put links to these below. And this is the rear shock tower, and as you can see, it's definitely got the better thickness, and it's got the lean back that the original shock tower has. And then this is the GPM front shock tower. Okay, same thing. It's got the thickness up there, so you probably won't need those spacers and all that good stuff. Okay, and they come with actual bolts too. I haven't opened them up yet. Now, as far as the diffs go, they don't list the diff cases on the GPM site for the Jato 4x4. Okay, but if you look up the Traxxas part number for the diff cases for the Jato 4x4, it's the same part number on the Rustler 4x4, Slash 4x4, Bigfoot 4x4, X01. There's several different vehicles that all use the same cases. So I went and looked at the Rustler cases that GPM offers, and that's what I bought. This one is the rear, and this one is the front. Okay, so I don't know if we're gonna have to, and they come with bolts and they come with bearings and stuff, and I don't know if we're gonna have to shim these or not, but we're in this together. So let's start tearing this thing apart, and let's see what we got. And I will start off by saying, replacing this tower and this diff, it's not that hard to do. I mean, it's a pretty quick, simple process. The thing is, though, how many times you want to keep doing it? Because this thing is exposed with this body on there. And the last one I broke, if you watched my last video, I didn't even hit this. All I did was do a hard, flat landing, and it snapped. And it snapped it right here, and then it snaps, because these two right here actually bolt into the diff case. It snapped that off the diff case. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Anytime you break that plastic arm, you're probably breaking that plastic diff case. So we're just going to go through and we're going to swap the whole thing out and put the aluminum diff cases on it as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with the front. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and set the body back off over here. Okay, I'm going to take this off first. Okay, and that's all we need for from underneath. Now we can swap this. Take 2.5 out. And let's pull these shocks. Pull the shocks. I won't need these long bolts with the new one. I can go back to the stock ones because they won't need all these spaces. So we're gonna set. Okay. I did put Loctite on these, and I guess I got a little bit of Loctite up inside that spacer. That's okay, we'll get it out of there. Now, whether you can tell or not, mine is a little bit mine is not stock, okay? I do have the sway bar kit on it. But that's not a problem either. You take these two out. Slide this out of the way. I like trying to put my bolts back sort of where they came from. That way I kind of know. Okay. Now this thing will move out of your way. Now when you pull these, if you like the way it handles, pay attention to what the holes were that you pulled them out of. That way you can put them back in the same hole. And now you can just kind of lean that over and see how that brings everything back up to a height where it's easier to work on. Then you can pull these. Now, if you were just taking the shock tower, replacing the shock tower, you don't have to pull this one here. All you have to do is pull what we already pulled, and then pull these 4 bolts right here, and the shock tower will come off. I'll show you. But I guarantee you, if you're replacing the shock tower, you either broke the diff case or you cracked the diff case. See those 4 bolts, and that comes off. And that's what usually breaks when the shock tower breaks, these 2 ears right here. Okay, because they actually bolt into the back of, right there. So, alright, so there's those cheapies from Amazon. If anybody wants the links to those, I can put those on there. Now at this point, this thing is about ready to come out, but what I like to do is go ahead and pull my drive shafts while it's sitting here. Come on. There we go. So I'll do that. Back up, and I'll put this back in there. Same thing over here. I will say these are, and for the most part, all Traxxas cars are really easy to work on. Okay. Now I want this to stay up. So at this point, as you can see, there's the front cover. Paper towel over here. There's the diff. Oh, I did forget. I'm sorry. I didn't. You do have to take off, pull the diff case, the rear diff case out. You got to pull this. Put those on that side. And I believe I do have to pull these two right here on the bottom that I've forgotten about. Okay. And now, pop that out of the way. And I can pull that out. Okay. So there's your diff. And your diff cases. Okay. Now I have not ran this since I put this back together. Since I put the new case on and put that aluminum shock tower on it. You see I got some red and tacky on there. I'm not going to put more grease on there, so don't blow me up in the comments about it, because I just put it back together. Alright, where am I? Let's open this up. Is this the front? Yeah, this is the front. Let's take a look at these bad boys. Okay. Ooh, it comes with all kinds of stuff. There's bearings, there's all kinds of screws in here, wow. Alright. Let's build some diffs. Alright. So, let's pull it apart. Now, this being aluminum on aluminum, I am going to get some Loctite out. And we're going to Loctite these back in. Okay. Wow, they look like they give you... Now all these are not going to fit the Jato, okay, but looks like they give you new bolts for everything, but these are all not going to fit the Jato, okay. If you notice, we did not take anything out that looks like that length right there. Alright, so we're going to set these, instead of mixing them up with what we pulled, we're going to set these off to this side over here. And that is the one part about the GPMs. They do not come with instructions. Okay, that bearing goes in there. That bearing is going to go in there. Now, they gave you new ones, but honestly, you could use the ones out of here too. Oh, forgot, I got to take this piece off. Alright, what is... There we go. Okay. Took that out. Alright. That bearing fit kind of loose, but it works. Okay. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to put this diff back on here. I'm going to put, and I'm going to hold this together, and I want to check play. I mean, I could put a couple bolts in it, I guess, but then it's going to squeeze it wrong. All I want to do, see, how can I do this? Hold it like that, put my finger right there. It's got a little bit of play in it that way. Now, some of you guys may say that's too much, but I got a feeling when you put this on there, it's going to take some of that out. Let's try that real quick. Let's put this back on here. Okay, lock that out here. Little dab will do you. Okay. I need to light that on that. I set this to 15 so it doesn't do max. Okay. Now let's see what we got. So hold it, hold it. Oh, hold it. Yeah, there's very little. And there's no play this way. I think we're good. I don't think we need to shim these diffs. Alright. So, now there's two ways you could do this now. You could put this diff back in and then put the shock tower on it, or you could put the shock tower on it to hold the cases together where you put it back in. The reason that you would want to, if you can see up in there, one of the reasons you might want to do this in sections and not put the shock tower on it, so you don't have to put this in yet, okay? But if you can see, that drive shaft has to fit. This thing has to go up over this hump right here, and then it has to go into that drive shaft, right? So I find it easier to slide this up in here like so, and then line up that shaft. See if I can get some light in there so y'all can see what I'm doing here. All right. So I'm just lining up that shaft and then pushing that back up in there like that. All right. I just find that easier to do that way. Just like that. Okay. And then once I've got it in that shaft, I can go ahead and put these bolts back in, right? But we're going aluminum, so we're gonna a little bit of Loctite, a little bit of Loctite, just like that. Same thing on the bottom, because if I don't put this on, it doesn't hold the whole chassis together. Just dropped the bolt. A little bit of Loctite, a little bit of Loctite. More Loctite on my fingers than I did anything else. Alright, what's the deal here, folks? What are we doing? Oh, it's not lining up right, huh? Does it need to go back? No. Let's get there. Let's loosen these up. Those down. Get our Loctite out the way here. Okay. Alright. Okay, now we can slide the diff in. Like so. Put this case on. Like so. And then, if we just want to hold it all in place while we're doing the shock towers and all that, we can just put this bolt on there. That'll hold all that in place for us. Okay. So now, the way I like to do it is I like to go ahead and put the axles back in. Alright, now we can put that back on there, but then look, you're gonna have problems with these bolts right here, right? So let's open up the shock tower now, and let's put the front shock tower on. And look, it comes with the 4 bolts you need for it. It just says down in there, just like that. So you end up with plenty of bolts. Put these 2 over here because they went with the diff set. So you end up with extras. So all these are the same length. I'm going to go ahead and put some Loctite on them. Get them started. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put these on. Just so that it doesn't get in the way when I go to do sway bars. When I go to put the sway bar back on. If you don't have sway bars, you can just do this in whatever order you want. Now, I know that these were... See, sometimes you can look at this and you can go, okay, I know where these were. So, these were on the inner lower, okay? So, that's what we're going to do. We're going to hook this. We're going to go here. Okay. Get out of the way, shot. Okay, now I'm going to put the sway bar back on. And this is the only part that I was questioning on these GPM diffs. Is hopefully all this fits back like it's supposed to. I may have to modify this, because the way that's supposed to fit is it goes right in that slot, just like that. See? So that slot goes in just like that. There, it's a little bit too wide for that. Okay, we will do that a little later. Okay, now these are for the shocks. Okay, where are my shocks? Were they in the center holes? I don't think so. I think they were in the outers. Well, we're going to put them in the outers, and then I'll go back and look at this video. Alright, so the GoPro, again, messed up the last 3 minutes of me recording on the front. But I wasn't going to record doing the rear anyway. So here's the front all done. I did have to modify this plate here. And the reason being is on these were made for like the slash and the rustler and all that. And the sway bars actually go on the back side of the diff, not the front. So I did have to modify these. I'll put a picture in here at the end of what they look like after they were modified. But there is the front. Here is the rears. And again, yes, I did have to modify this piece right here. But everything fit. Everything is working. Now the only difference between the front and the rear really is just you gotta take the wing off. So there's 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, and then you got these 2 bolts here to get this the diff out itself. Other than that, there's 4 bolts, these 4 bolts down here. That's it. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. I'm really liking these, the way they look and everything. And yeah, I did pick the red to blue to go with the orange. But now, put the body back on here. That's it. She's ready to rock again. She's ready to hit the track. If I have any issues, I will do a follow-up and let y'all know. Thanks for watching.